Well, of course, this month is LGBT History Month. For most of us, celebrating the fact that we can do what we want when we need to, everybody. Yes, so of course, unless you're in America, in which case Trump's got different ideas. However, here in Manchester, we are welcoming a fantastic show, and it stars a gentleman called Stephen Hart, and he's got a very insightful story. Have a watch of this.
What's it all about?
It's about me, and I know that sounds really big-headed, but it's basically about my story of growing up in a family that had problems, like a lot of families do, and just the different hurdles that I have faced over the years and how I've got through them, just with a group of very special people around me to support me over the years. So that's the basis of the story.
And what is it then that you've had to conquer?
So I was adopted to start off with. My adopted mother had schizophrenia. So growing up as a kid with somebody who has multiple personalities was interesting. And then I became homeless at 15. I had to go into the system, which was always a journey. But at the same time, I got to succeed in some things that just always seemed like dreams to me as a kid. Working in the West End in London was always something that I wanted to do and never thought could happen, but it did. So it's a compilation of my trials, my tribulations, all that kind of thing.
And how important do you feel it is to take what's happened to you and express it on a stage to other people?
Well, I was always brought up in under the belief, don't tell anyone, never tell anyone. It was a constant theme that was used throughout my childhood and for various different things. But I think it's really important because it seems to open the door for conversation. It's been great, the amount of people that I've had tell me their stories and share their stories with me. So it's a real conversation starter. So I think that that's why it is important.
And of course, you do a lot of work with the Terence Higgins Trust as well, don't you? I mean, tell us a little bit about them.
So I became HIV positive in 2006, and for me at that time, it was the end of the world. I I grew up during Section 28, so obviously there was no teaching or training at school about being a gay kid and the things that I might face. So I decided to use my story, um, living with HIV, and work with the Terence Higgins Trust as a Positive Voices speaker. So I go into schools, I go into businesses, and just talk about what HIV is now rather than what it was when we were growing up.
And of course, one of the other things that you are quite passionate about is stamping out spiking. For those people who don't know what that's all about, could you perhaps tell us a little bit more?
Yeah, so my HIV diagnosis actually came after having my drink spiked in a club so 18 years ago, and I didn't know anything about spiking. I knew that it was something that happened to women because, again, that's what I'd learned from the media, and I didn't realize that it could happen to someone like me. And I've learned since that it happens to anybody. And Stamp Out Spiking is a charity. I'm their London ambassador, and they educate people on spiking, what spiking is, how to protect yourself, what to do if somebody has been spiked. So all those kind of things that just I didn't know about. So I feel it's important to shine a light on them.
And what do you recommend? I mean, what is the basic consensus if somebody spikes your drink? Or first of all, let's talk about how do you prevent somebody from spiking your drinks?
Well, now the Stamp Out Spiking have got these great stop tops, they're called. So they're either go into your bottle top or they go over your drink, and it just prevents anybody from dropping anything into your drink. And I think that the advice I would give is just be aware of your friends. It's great to be aware of your own drink and things like that, which is important, but also be aware of your friends, because if you know your friends and you know that they suddenly seem to have got very drunk, or they're suddenly not making sense, or it can be a warning sign that something has been slipped into their drink. So it's about being aware of ourselves, but also being aware of the people around us.
Now, your performances are garnering a lot of attention, particularly since you've been doing this show, which I believe was in 2009. Is that correct?
Yes, New York, 2009 to 2010. So 14 years ago.
And Brooklyn, their college down there, they've took a lot of interest in the show, haven't they?
Yeah, so Brooklyn College they sponsored me to work with them for 3 months. They gave me a theatre space in as long as I did my show for all their students, which was a great experience because it was there's always a Q&A after each show, and the conversation and the questions and things were really important. So Brooklyn College they were the first supporters of Shadow Dreamer, and even to this day, I'm still in touch with. They were kids then, obviously now they're grown up and they've got careers, but they still keep in touch, saying what an experience it was for them to see the show and hear somebody telling their story as openly as I did.
Well, Shadow Dreamer is coming to 53.2 on the 20th and 21st of this month. It's going to be fantastic. In just a few words, why should people spend their hard-earned cash coming to see this particular performance?
I think it's an experience, because I think it's very rare that we see people standing up, being open, honest, and completely true with their stories, the good and the bad. And I think it's a great way for conversations to be started. It's a great way for you to maybe see that there's a way of telling your story, because so many of us are told, be quiet, sit in the corner, don't, and this show kind of turns that on its head and allows you to see that it is okay to tell your story if you want to do so.
Well, we're looking forward to hearing your story. Like we say, 20th and 21st of February over at 53.2. For now, though, Stephen Hart, thanks so much for your time.
Thank you.